Fruit from quince trees make delicious jams, jellies, crumbles, and pies. However, quince trees can be prone to quince leaf blight. So should quince leaf blight worry you? And will it affect your crop of quince fruits? Let's take a look at the symptoms of quince leaf blight disease on a quince tree. Here, you can see a quince tree in early September, early autumn. Right now, this tree should be covered in healthy mature green leaves and ripening fruit. However, what's clear is that this quince tree is suffering badly from quince leaf blight infection. This means that this quince tree has been infected with the unwelcome fungus Diplocarpon mespili, which causes the tree to suffer from the disease of quince leaf blight, or Entomosporium leaf spot. Infection from the fungus Diplocarpon mespili has led to extensive premature or early leaf drop and poor quince fruit development. It's been a wet summer this year, and the fungus Diplocarpon mespili thrives in damp conditions. That's why the symptoms of quince leaf blight infection are so severe on this tree. It's worth noting that the fungus, Diplocarpon mespili, will infect a number of plants in the apple subfamily Pomoideae. This family includes quince trees and other plants such as pears, Photinia, Amelanchier, hawthorn, and pyracantha. So, back to this quince tree. Let's take a closer look at the leaves on this tree infected with quince leaf blight. Symptoms of leaf blight infection on the quince tree leaves here can be seen as small, chestnut-brown spots with a central dark brown dot. As infection progresses, the spots may change to a silvery-grey colour. Individual spots of infection are usually small, less than 4 mm, or just 1/8 of an inch in diameter. Yet, as the year passes, these spots of infection can merge together to form ugly large brown patches on the leaves. Severe quince leaf blight infection ultimately leads to the leaf going from green to yellow to brown, and then shrivelling up and prematurely falling to the ground. The fungus, Diplocarpon mespili, spends the winter dormant on the ground, on the fallen leaves infected with quince leaf blight. In the spring, the fungus produces spores from small, dish-shaped fruiting bodies. These fruiting bodies are known as acervuli. The spores produced by the fungus, Diplocarpon mespili, travel in rain splashes or on the wind and infect the new leaves of the quince tree. Through the summer, the infected leaves on the tree also produce more fruiting bodies and more spores, creating further cycles of infection on the tree. But does quince leaf blight disease harm the fruit production of your quince tree? Unfortunately, yes. If your quince tree is infected with quince leaf blight, you'll probably get a lower yield of fruit. This is because the premature leaf fall reduces the vigour and the health of the tree. What's more, the quince fruit themselves can become infected by the Diplocarpon mespili fungus. The infection leads to spotted and distorted fruit. If there is severe quince leaf blight infection on your tree, you might even see the tips of the young quince tree branches dying back. So, can quince leaf blight be cured or treated? The answer is no and yes. The bad news is that if your quince trees are affected by quince leaf blight this year, you won't be able to save this year's crop of quince fruit. But the good news is that yes, you can take action to prevent infection reoccurring again next year. So what should you do if you spot quince leaf blight on your tree? Here's 2 measures you can take to prevent quince leaf blight. The most important measure is to clear and remove fallen infected leaves, and the second measure is to boost the overall vigour of your tree. Let's first talk about clearing fallen infected leaves. Removing infected fallen leaves is the most important control method for quince leaf blight. Make sure you rake up and dispose of fallen infected quince leaves as they drop from midsummer through to late autumn. Remember, the fungus, Diplocarpon mespili, survives the winter on these fallen leaves. These fallen quince leaves act as a reservoir for infection the next spring. By removing these leaves, you dramatically reduce the chances of infection next year. These infected quince leaves should be placed in your council's green waste collection, or burnt, or buried deeply. That is, buried deeper than 40 centimetres, or 16 inches in the ground, which is about the distance from your fingertip to your elbow. This second step is to ensure the tree is growing as well as possible. To grow the tree as well as possible, you should prune out dead shoots and remove any branches that are touching or crossing other branches in the winter. Then, in the spring, boost the vigour of the quince tree by applying a mulch of well-rotted manure. The mulch will bury any infected leaves you missed in your clearing, it will help to keep moisture in the soil, and it will gradually decompose over time, releasing nutrients for the quince tree to grow. If your quince tree is still establishing, that is, it's in its first 3 years after planting, you want to make sure you give it plenty of water in dry weather. Finally, do quince trees exist that don't catch quince leaf blight? Unfortunately, you won't be able to find an invincible quince tree. But the best way to reduce the risk of quince leaf blight is to plant a variety of quince tree which has some resistance to the quince leaf blight fungus. 2 quince tree varieties which show some resistance are Serbian Gold and Vranja. If you choose to buy young quince trees from a specialist UK fruit supplier, they will hopefully be happy to give you some specialised advice about picking a resistant cultivar which suits your needs. I hope you can now confidently diagnose the brown spots on the leaves of your quince tree, and you don't feel so concerned. I also hope that you now feel optimistic that your quince trees will be able to provide fruit for yummy desserts for many years to come. Remember, you can help to grow your knowledge of common plant health problems by subscribing to my channel, if you feel like it. Wishing you healthy plants and happy gardening.